not dead yet. Just paralyzed. Temporarily.
You're an amazing creature, Spider-Man. You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you. You're a murderer.
Well, to each his own. I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
Because it's right.
Here's the real truth. There are 8 million people in this city, and those teeming masses exist for the sole purpose of lifting the few exceptional people onto their shoulders. You, me, we're exceptional. I could squash you like a bug right now, but I'm offering you a choice. Join me. Imagine what we could accomplish together. What we could create. Or we could destroy. Cause the deaths of countless innocents in selfish battle again and again and again until we're both dead. Is that what you want? Think about it, hero!
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trip Around Multiverse with your host, the 35-year-old playing a 17-year-old Carl Charles,
and the man who should have known Osborn didn't have the spine to finish you. See why I did the accent as well.
Wait, what's that from? Wait, huh?
Well, in Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking like, which Spider-Man film is that from?
Yeah. Well, okay. Here, no, you go to the intro and then I'll explain. Not explain, but I'll just clarify.
Oh, okay. So, in this episode, we are going to be discussing and maybe comparing the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and the Mark Webb Spider-Man films. That is guy directed. He did direct the Amazing Spider-Man films, right? Mark Webb, innit?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep,
cool.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this, right? So Andrew Garfield is British.
Yep.
And Alfred Molina is British.
Yep.
And obviously Tom Holland's British, but we're not that. But
Yeah.
Did you ever detect much accent slips from them?
No.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew Garfield's one's pretty solid. I don't think really I hear him slip that much.
No.
Not that at all, right? But Alfred Molina, certain sentences sometimes it just goes into like a East End London.
Like, I didn't get why they made him have an American accent.
That's true.
It's not like part of the character's backstory, him being like American or anything, is it? So you could just be an English dude. Makes no real difference.
To be fair, his name sounds German.
Yeah,
but...
so...
Which is why, by the way, you know, far back when James Cameron was going to do Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He was going to hire Arnold Schwarzenegger to be Doc Octopus. I'm like, I don't know about Doc Ock being built like Schwarzenegger in the 90s, because that's something else, man.
Yeah, that would have made no sense as well. Like, Doc Ock's whole thing is like he came from like an insecure, like not insecure, but quite adequate man, and then he used his like brains and stuff to become what he is.
Yeah.
Him being a jack dude would make no sense.
No, exactly. Except that everyone's drawn like a jack dude, except for Spider-Man, right? Who's drawn like a teenage. Well, he's drawn like a gymnast kind of, right?
But Doc Ock wasn't really ever drawn like he was jacked or everything. He was kind of like a belly. So
yeah. Well, it depends. You know, do you remember the white suit version of Dr. Octopus?
No.
All right, he wore a white suit at some points, and he wasn't jacked there, but he didn't have a pot belly there. I think he's just like a normal build. I think nowadays, but I think his standard build is like a non-athlete.
Yeah. Like a normal dude, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A normal size build for his age.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of. So okay, I don't want to say direct comparison, but just for like reminiscing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when was the last time you watched these particular sets of films?
Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 very recently. I watched them around Christmas.
Oh, geez, right.
No, before Christmas.
Yeah.
The Sam Raimi ones, it's been a while because I can't really watch them anymore.
Yeah, I can't remember when the last time I watched any of these were, though I have to say, which one's the one you've watched the most? This will be Spider-Man in 2020. In 2002.
2002. Yep.
Spider-Man in 2004. Spider-Man 2 in 2004. Spider-Man 3 in 2007. Amazing Spider-Man in 2012, and Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014.
Maybe I should say maybe it would probably be Spider-Man, the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because of like when it came out, it was kind of like the only comic book film that was good at the point. Yeah. And I think I watched it religiously to a certain point.
I think the one I watched the most was Spider-Man 2, actually.
Actually, no, you're right. No, it's Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 I watched like a lot.
Yeah.
Can't really watch it anymore, but...
Yeah, and it's a bit odd between those in the Sam Raimi set of films. Spider-Man 1 made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, they all made a lot of money, but Spider-Man 2 made the least out of the three. Which is odd because it's like critically the best one. The one I enjoyed the most anyways.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Spider-Man, I think the first one, the gimmick of, it's a Spider-Man movie, helped boost the numbers whether people liked it or not, right? But then you got enough of flavour of it for Spider-Man 2. But then I'm like, all right, but then how come Spider-Man 3 made more money? And I'm like, is it because Venom is, like, people are eager to see what Venom looked like? Or, like, Venom was a popular character in himself somehow, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, is this what's going to... Is the gimmick of seeing Venom in the Spider-Man film what was drawing people to see Spider-Man 3? I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. It was a bit of an odd one.
I think because it was like the crescendo, as a fancy word is, like to the series. I think that's probably why.
No. But at that point, people didn't know there wasn't going to be a number 4. Usually, I know.
No, people didn't know, but how they kind of like marketed the third one like it was going to be the last one.
Maybe. I think they had ideas for a number 4.
Right, because I remember they was like saying, "Yeah, this is the last one. They're not gonna like Maguire and Rainey's gonna do." So I think everyone's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's all see it."
Okay, well, yeah, I mean that you have a point there. It could be, but they had plans to. By the way, from what I read, they had plans for filming Spider-Man 4 and 5 back to back, which then they did not do.
Yeah,
and they were gonna have the Vulture as a villain for number 4, Spider-Man 4, and have Felicia Hardy in it, not as Black Cat, as the Vultress. I'm like, right. Firstly, at that time, I was like, so Vulture to me is a B-tier Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
How are they going to make this guy? Like, you'd need someone behind him, or he'd be like the A plot, where someone else is the B plot, which is the main plot, right?
Yeah.
But somehow, Spider-Man Homecoming, they made him the main villain and tweaked everything and I was like, you know what, actually, fair enough. The way that he carried the movie. But anyway, that's that.
Yeah.
At the time, we'll just speak about at the time, right? Unless you're going to directly say something that's relevant to the new set of Spider-Man films. But at the time, I was like, yeah, I don't know if Vulture could carry. But then again, it's just probably the same with Mysterio as well.
Yeah.
Like what the gimmick of a special effects artist, like you maybe have someone hire him, or I don't know. But I was just like, Quentin Beck, for what reason would they tied in? They made that work though. But so that's
yeah.
That. So here's the thing, right? With these Spider-Man films, considering the villains are Green Goblin for the first one, Doctor Octopus for the second one, Sandman and Venom for the third one. They had the Lizard, Green Goblin again.
Yeah.
Well, no, Harry Osborn again, right?
Yeah.
Because he was also in Spider-Man 3, and Electro. with Electro being also a B tier villain, because can you tell me what do you know about Electro's backstory? Can you just encapsulate what you think of Electro? What do you think his aside from his gimmick, what has he got? And I don't mean the movie version. I mean the
actual comic
version.
Yeah, not much really. He's not that...
So they could do whatever they want with him. But they made him it was like they tried to make him a main eventer, right? But he was not. He was clearly not.
Yeah.
Not fault to Jamie Foxx, right? Just like they didn't. They's like, what's this obsession with Spider-Man and whatever they. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of. I don't know how they did it in that.
Yeah.
They kind of made him more accessible for a villain, because in the comics, he's always like a part of a team really now, isn't he? For the last like X amount of years, he's never been like the solo villain.
Yeah. Well, but
even in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he was kind of like
Let me finish my train of thought.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into that a bit more about that. So I was like, okay, so and then they had Vulture, Shocker, and who else they had? Vulture, Shocker, and the Tinkerer in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Well, it's mainly Shocker. It was mainly the Vulture. That's Scorpion in that as well, by the way. So but they're all minor. Oh yeah, they also had Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but he wasn't really. Then you had Mysterio, and then you had. All the quote unquote Sinister Six, even though it was like the Fearsome Five or whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's funny because within the set of Spider-Man films, and he's got so many villains. I think that they could have ran through enough villains without having to repeat them. A couple of times.
They could have.
Even though the key ones obviously were taken by the first set of trilogies and stuff like that. And Amazing Spider-Man was left with a bit... Like, once you've used the main villains, you were left with, like, secondary villains.
Yeah.
But it still can do stuff. Like, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, instead of using Electro with the obsessive stalker gimmick, or whatever they wanted... I don't even want to say he's obsessive stalker.
Yeah.
It's really weird, though. It was... he's my friend, but he's not my... I don't know him, but he's my friend.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that's obsessive stalker behavior. To that level, because he's not like I am hunting. If they tweaked it and put it as Kraven the Hunter instead, right? And then you could no, but what I'm saying is obsessive stalker, right? Because he's hunting Spider-Man, and he wants to not. I don't want to go to Kraven's Last Hunt, right? The storyline, but just be like, okay, so I tried to hunt him. He's the best prey for a hunter, whatever, right? And then you could get hired by Harry Osborn. I'm just saying, obsessive stalker to the sinister levels, right? Can work with how Kraven the Hunter was portrayed-ish at that point, but definitely nothing to do with Electro because it's like, I
don't know. Then that'd be a completely different film if you.
Of course, it would have to be.
But then I don't know.
It'd probably make more sense than Electro. Did you? There was a cut scene for that. Where he made the cake for himself.
Who, Electro?
Yeah. So Max Dillon.
Yeah.
Made the cake, I think, and he went to speak to his mum.
Yeah.
And then his mum said something bad about Spider-Man. I think he killed her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then and then you can. All right, that I can buy, but it's probably a key component because if you're saying he's so obsessed with Spider-Man that he will kill someone for insulting Spider-Man, it then makes the rest of the film make a bit more sense.
Yeah.
But he'd just be like, "Oh, happy-go-lucky, old Spider-Man rescue me. You know what? Yeah, all right, he's my best friend, right?" And then because he captured me, he turned on me, and therefore I hate him.
I kind of get that because he's been picked on all his life, and like the only person he thought kind of was like the good person in the world, Spider-Man, kind of indirectly betrayed him, so you could see why you would go to a psychopath off of that.
Yeah. But there's other... No, it's fair enough, right? But I think there's other characters that could have suited that storyline a bit more than Electro. And I'm sure there's another villain they could have had it. It's just a bit random to throw Electro in it like that.
Yeah, it is. But, like... on the big screen with CGI and stuff, Electro's the best pick, really.
Yeah. No. Like as a CGI spectacle of what he can do, yeah. But he was definitely the way they portrayed him, a second tier villain. And I know that they did the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
With Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
But he showed up a bit too late in as the full Green Goblin.
Yeah.
His turn was a bit too late in the film as well.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Whereas if it was
dragged it out.
yeah, if they pushed it a bit further along at the forefront of the film, then you could be like, okay, all this kind of ties together. You've seen Chronicle, correct?
Yeah, I've seen Chronicle. Yeah.
So I can see why they hired Dane DeHaan to be Green Goblin from that turn, right? From Chronicle, which I really like, by the way.
Yeah, good film.
And I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to see what you can bring to it, because I'm not saying they're the same character, but they're the same. They have the same story, direction, perspective in life. You know,
kind of, yeah. The father stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like more like how it's driven to turn into the villain.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to how he was portraying it, and then it was like, no, I'm not 100% on this.
Like, the performance wasn't bad or anything. For me, the whole him being Green Goblin thing felt a bit like rushed. They could have done that in the next film.
Well, here's the thing, right?
You know what I mean?
If he was in the first film,
yeah,
and then they went into the second film of Amazing Spider-Man, and then that happened, you're like, all right, fair enough. Obviously, I'm the caster by then, so that's that problem. I'll also say Amazing Spider-Man 1 seemed like definitely a part 1 to me.
Yeah.
As a film. And, like, for example, I know, like, TV series are all the rage now, right? Even if it's, like, 6 episodes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because back then... But it definitely seemed like, to me, this is the first 2 episodes of a TV series. Maybe, 6-part TV series or whatever. But it's just like, this is how Spider-Man starts for this particular story. Because there are other strings that are going along that don't get resolved. And I don't think the Lizard was a strong enough villain to carry the rest of that movie. They need to be something else. Not saying, they need to be another villain or something like that. But they need to, I guess they probably, if he was going to be, they need to tighten up his reasoning. Because it's like, okay, he lost his arm, right? Yeah. Then he creates a formula that gives him back his arm. And then he's like, you know what, this formula is turning me into a lizard. Let me turn everyone else into a lizard to be the peak physical version of the next evolution of humanity. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
It skipped a step somewhere, I think, right?
Yeah.
For him to jump to that conclusion.
It was a lizard part of his brain.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, because he kind of said, because he's always having that little back and forth between the human side and the lizard side. So I was like, okay, it makes sense. There's like 2 different people that share the same body.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They could have done that a bit more, I guess, to then do it. Yeah. It just seemed like to me, it seemed like, okay, this is. Oh yeah, standard stock villain. Oh, I turned everybody into a thing like me. And it's like, it's one thing if you're saying, by the way, Doctor Lizard, right? Doctor Connors, you turn into Lizard, and you're turning less humane, but turning into more of a regressing into more of a primal creature. I don't know if that's whether or not that's the route they want to go to, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then it's just like, look, I'm trying to cure you to help you. Right, and the lizard's like, I don't want a cure because that'll turn me back into whatever, right? Then you could have the fight instead. But the logic way is like, yes. See, I will turn everyone into this lizard like me. It's perilous, but needed something a bit more to it to get him to get that point. It just seemed like he was like, you know what? I'm a lizard. I'll turn everyone into a lizard. Yeah,
but that's the same basic plot they had in the Spider-Man cartoon, the Spider-Man cartoon from 1994, The Night of the Lizard. It's basically the same premise as that. He became a lizard, it came 2 sort of minds, and lizard mind wanted to to make.
No, but that's not that's different. That's it. Is that what was okay to you?
Yep.
Is that what was portrayed? That wasn't portrayed in the movie to me, by the way, right? So I can make the logical leaps.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you kind of apply your own headcanon from stuff that you've read before, and then make the thing work. But is that okay? Is that what was portrayed in the movie to you, or are you fitting in the gap?
No, that's portrayed to movie to me because he says that in the film when he has like the lizard and Doc Connors have like this weird conversation between them two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I haven't seen it for ages, so either way. So, okay. Fair enough. Okay. I just thought he kind of skipped a couple of steps and he's like, you know what? Let's just turn everyone into lizards like me. Let's just see how that rolls. It's what, by the way.
Yeah.
What happened to Doc Connors' wife and kid?
I don't even know if they're in the film.
Weren't they in the film?
I don't know. I can't remember if they're meant. I can't remember.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I'm pretty sure there was. Okay. Then why was he working in the sewers? They cut the funding, right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly. I think they cut the funding.
Yeah.
And he killed someone, I think. That's why he went to the civilians hideout. If I remember correctly, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, there was a cut. Okay, you know the Indian dude? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
The guy who was funding, right? On behalf of Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
And the lizard tried to kill him in his car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think somewhere I read he finds Kurt Connors in the sewers somewhere or something like that. No, or wherever, right? By doing the experiment, not necessarily in the sewers, but in his building, wherever, right?
Yeah.
But he's the dude that I think Lizard kills. Kurt Connors kills because they're trying to stop him. He's like, we're gonna cut your funding because of whatever. And Kurt Connors like, no, I think the only person that's gonna get cut is you. You know.
Yeah.
And then probably that progresses the rest of the story. But I think they cut the scene, and it was like, okay, I can get when, by the way, if you're like, I'm gonna do something, right? And then someone tries to stop you, and then you kind of tip yourself over the edge.
Yeah.
And then you're like, as a character, you're like, I've done this, whatever. It's too late for me to go back. I can't go back now.
Yeah.
Then that yes, I could buy that a bit more. But yeah, they cut it, and then you're like, all right.
I do think that guy does die at some point, right?
Well, no, but that's the thing. He doesn't. I think he disappears for it.
Dies.
After the car, after he gets done in his car.
Yeah, Spider-Man sort of saves the day.
And then I think he goes off to. No, I don't want to say he goes off to the hospital, but we just assume that he goes off to the hospital, and yeah.
I think he. Why don't I remember? I'm pretty sure he does die. I'm pretty sure.
I tell you what, I do like though in Amazing Spider-Man how they got him. Instead of repeating exactly how Spider-Man got to his costume and it was associated with wrestling.
Yeah.
He was running across the rooftops chasing someone.
Yeah, he's looking for the murderer of Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the gang started chasing him.
Fell. No, was he swinging? I don't know.
No. He was just running and he jumped on a roof. Yeah. And the roof was dilapidated and he fell through.
Yeah, and then he fell into the wrestling ring and he saw these the luchador posters and like, yeah. And I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Makes more sense than in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films.
Where he challenged Bonesaw McGraw.
Bonesaw ready. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, they cut the line. They did. I don't say they dignified it, but a bit less. So there's a line where Spider-Man, the amazing human spider, right? He's cussing he's cussing Bonesaw, and he's saying, "That's a nice outfit. Did your husband buy it for you?" Yeah. Well, they cut that line out.
Oh, they cut it out now.
They cut it out for the PG-13 LGBTQ crowd. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they definitely cut it. I don't know if it's because of those particular reasons, or they just don't want to seem, or they thought maybe it just sounds a bit childish, kind of.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like just pick on a guy because of the way he wears stuff.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, wrestling costumes are flamboyant. I know.
Exactly.
I know Macho Man's wearing mesh, but still.
Yeah. If they saw his actual old Macho Man costumes, then I can understand. Because basically he's wearing like his not Macho Madness. You know, he's late. Like this was when he was the later version when he was like wearing I want to say more street tough stuff rather than his flamboyant polka dot stuff and all that.
This is the era of the Macho Man when he couldn't go in the ring anymore. So he had Miss Madness, Medusa, and Gorgeous George there to distract the crowd like a magician, like all good magicians, from his ring work. I mean, yes. The more but the thing is, the more flamboyant, colourful stuff made him stand out a bit more. So but yeah, even if he said in the 80s, that'd probably come across even worse when we watch it back nowadays.
Yeah, because they probably use some profanities. You're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Saying that.
But then I think, look, Spider-Man, you can't really say that much because look at your colourful costume. Yeah. That's skin tight and whatnot. So, like, the choice is a bit odd right now, especially in the film when you know the filmmakers know exactly what he's going to be wearing later on.
Yep.
In terms of costume, they're supposed to be changes. I say they're supposed to be, but you know, if you're like me, you don't really notice. Between Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, there's tweaks to the costumes, like, you know, the bigger Spider-Man in the chest, whatever.
Yeah.
I never noticed them because I think they're minor adjustments. The only thing I noticed, obviously, is when he was wearing the black, when he turned black. But what I mean is, of course, when he was wearing the black costume.
Yeah.
Actually, the only other thing I noticed is the inconsistent collar, neckline of where the Spider-Man costume is.
Yep.
Because when he's wearing it underneath the shirt, or whatever, right? And he pulls the shirt open, then you have a low neckline. Yep. When he takes off his mask, it's like at his neck. So you're telling me the Spider-Man costume splits at 3 different places?
Just like this weird neck bit that you put around.
So not only does he put his mask on, he has to put the neck bit on first and then his mask on. You know?
Yeah, so backwards. But yeah, they were funny films, I guess.
Yeah. What did you think of the? I mean, you're probably going to say what I'm going to say. That the Amazing Spider-Man 2 costume is the best Spider-Man costume, right?
Yeah, it's the best Spider-Man costume out of all 3 of the films, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Because but I don't know what they were thinking of the Amazing Spider-Man costume. Still looks like a Spider-Man costume.
Yeah.
It just looked more very Rey Mysterio as well.
You know why I like that one? Because it was budget and it would make sense for his current situation. Yeah,
well, it's strange because it's more wrestling based, even though actual wrestling had less influence on him.
Yeah. Because like in in the first Spider-Man films, it makes no sense how he gets his costume.
Yeah. Like if Macho Man was wearing a super flamboyant costume.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man's like, you know what? I should also wear a colourful costume.
Yeah. Then fair enough.
Yeah.
But like, it makes no sense how he got it, how he was able to make it.
Yeah. Here's the thing with them costumes. It's not like they're spandex. They got a bodysuit underneath. Okay. In terms of filmmaking, they've got the muscle suits underneath. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing is the material looks like quite. I don't want to say thick, but it's definitely not cloth material.
No.
You know, it's got some sort of density to it. And I don't want to say scuba suit thick or something like that, but you know, it's definitely got not skin tight.
No. Yeah. It just made no sense. Like,
yeah.
In the Amazing Spider-Man, it showed him making it and like having trial and error and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in the Sam Raimi's one, like he goes from having that tracksuit stuff basically was wearing when he's fighting Bonesaw and a guy who kills Uncle Ben, and then it just jumps him having this perfectly made suit. Yes.
And what is really also weird, and if it's a cloth costume, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or as much close to a cloth costume that they can pretend that a normal guy made within the movie, because a movie costume still have to look good, right?
Yeah.
But how do you get ridges? How do you get the silver ridged webbing,
exactly,
3D texture on it that flexes?
And he has no money.
Yeah.
That's the like. in the Amazing Spider-Man film, it literally showed how he got everything he got, like through being like cheap and stuff.
Except that obviously he suddenly appeared in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the Amazing Spider-Man costume, which also has raised weapons on it. Right?
We could say he's like had time to sort of build up his skills to it, whatever.
Yeah.
But
because you can say the base of the costume.
Yeah.
Is whatever the materials he ordered online for his whatever, right? And even the eyes in the Amazing Spider-Man costume were sunglasses.
Yeah.
So, which is weird when you think about it, because you don't. Do you really want to be swinging around with sunglasses at nighttime?
Yeah. But I guess his spider vision might have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm reaching here, but you know. So that would make sense for the glasses bit, but a reach is a reach. So you know.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So before we go into the actors and some other stuff, right? That you might like. What do you think of the music, the themes? When I see the theme music, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the Spider-Man, Danny Elfman theme fit with his movies.
Yeah.
But I prefer the theme from Amazing Spider-Man 2, the hero theme.
Yeah, same.
By Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
They'll do like the James Horner one as well. Yeah.
I
think that the Hans Zimmer one was like after you've gone from level 1 to level 2, you know? That's why I think it suits it. And I really think Hans Zimmer could combine a bit of the musical cues from Amazing Spider-Man 1. Because suddenly it's like, you know when you got the sequels to films, but they never use the same musical cues. It's like Captain America, First Avenger, and Captain America: Winter Soldier. They only use the Captain America theme at the beginning when he's running in the dark around with the Falcon, and then they never use the rest of the Captain America theme again in that film.
Yeah. Now you said that, I never noticed that.
Yeah, and then they played the next time they played that little musical cue, I think, is when he hits Thanos with the hammer.
Yeah. Wow. I think it really such a good theme. But like for me, because like the Sam Raimi films, I've kind of like come across them recently or whatever, but the music in it kind of makes the films feel dated.
You think
feel
so?
older than they really are. Yeah.
So when the musical cues reappeared in Spider-Man: No Way Home, were you like, this kind of feels off key, or?
No, it's like, it's Tobey Maguire.
No. I mean, even the theme for Dr. Octopus and the Green Goblin.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Okay. But I think the way that the Danny Elfman musical cues is like, it's a sense of mystery, unveiling, right?
Yeah.
But I feel the ones from Amazing Spider-Man is like, they're more. They're a bit more hype, if you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the action's about to start, but it's just like this guy's going through his heroic journey.
Yeah. It fits the tone of the film more.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not your granddad's Spider-Man. This is a new Spider-Man for the kids, sort of thing. Yeah.
Random characters, by the way, in Spider-Man 3. What was this Ursula Dickovich? You know, the daughter of the... Well, no, she was in Spider-Man 2 as well, right?
Oh, yeah. The landlord's daughter.
Yeah. But it's just like, wow, that's a random character. Not even, nothing... No comic-based character on her whatsoever. I mean, Spider-Man's got quite a bit of a supporting cast.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so they essentially made up a character.
Yeah.
Fine.
Sure.
So, I mean,
She was cool, I guess.
Sam Raimi's brother also being in the film, Ivan Raimi, as Jonah Jameson's lackey, or
Oh yeah, that's his brother.
Yeah.
I was no wonder he looked strangely familiar, even though I didn't know who he was. I was like, he looks like someone, but I don't know who. But it makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, he fair enough. I mean, they didn't even name. I don't think he got a character name. Betty Brant was in the Spider-Man films, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. I was like, what? And I'm like, oh, to be fair, she does have Brady Brant's Bob from the comics. So yeah.
Yeah, by Elizabeth Banks. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which is funny because how old Tobey Maguire is, and Elizabeth Banks is probably around the same age, but she played the character seemingly 10 years older-ish. Definitely not.
Ain't Betty meant to be like a couple of years older than Peter?
Well, according to the comics, I think they're around about the same age. Maybe maybe she's two years older than him, but not by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Am I thinking of someone else? I can't remember.
But maybe now 16-year-olds working in like as secretaries won't fly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's why I thought she was like a couple of years older. Like she was just like in college, sort of doing that. As part-time.
Yeah. To be fair, as well, in the Sam Raimi films, he goes from high school to college. In Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, in a matter of hours, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. Okay. I suppose. Yeah.
I just always thought she was older. I don't know why.
Okay, so we're speaking about the cast in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. Well, I like Tobey Maguire as as Peter Parker because he came off kind of like awkward and not necessarily clumsy, but he kind of like hey, this seems like a Peter Parker to me, like the teenage Peter Parker way back in the 60s or whatever, right?
Yeah.
His Spider-Man was fine, but he did not chat rubbish to people. Which was like a key. I want to say a key component of Spider-Man, but it's really weird when you have people watching, like the younger kids watching Spider-Man, and he's all silent.
Yeah.
More like Miguel O'Hara Spider-Man because he don't say a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then they go to watch the Andrew Garfield film where he's chatting so much rubbish.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Spider-Man doesn't talk that much, and you're like, well, kid, from the 90s, you have to understand, right? Yeah. So, but I did like how the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was just talked a lot of crap to people.
Yeah, he was like, I still think overall, he's like the best Spider-Man / Peter Parker. But for like,
I mean, I don't disagree.
I
think he's definitely the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I actually think there's more appreciation for his both personas after Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
And I after watching Spider-Man No Way Home, I can see why they were like, oh, this guy, because he's got the charisma and the talent and all that stuff. He's like a headliner, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think the Amazing Spider-Man film showed that to its peak potential. Somehow, the 20 minutes that he got in No Way Home, he showed way more than in the 4 hours of his own films. I say as the Peter Parker version as well, because his Spider-Man definitely was stand out.
All right, I think for the age, like for the time that film came out, 2014 or whatever.
Yeah.
Spider-Man fit that era of like teenagers.
I think they were saying that it was based on the Ultimate version of Spider-Man, but I was like, no, because I know Ultimate Spider-Man, and it definitely wasn't that. But if you're going to say it's a more modernized outcast, because he's not necessarily a nerd.
Yeah.
But because he has a skateboard, ooh,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It was for that time period. He was like the teenager. If you know what I mean. Like with Tobey Maguire, he was never really a teenager, was he?
Well, yeah, but it's more one of these things that I was like, I'm looking at the dude, how he's dressed and what he's wearing and all that stuff and what he's into. And I'm like, yeah, but exactly why are they picking on you? You're not like you don't look like a so geeky or whatever that people like the Tobey Maguire version who was also awkward.
Yeah.
Right? Don't want to say he had the issues making friends or whatever, but you can see you look at him, you go, yeah, it's probably someone that's got a bit of social anxiety or whatever as well, right? But the Andrew Garfield version, I'm like, exactly why did they hate him? Why is he disliked? Not necessarily disliked, but
how they portrayed.
Why has he got no friends?
Dislike nothing. I just think how the story they were sort of telling, like since his parents died and stuff like that, he just sort of became a loner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay,
that makes more. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, so you pick on a guy because he's by himself, which is obviously when you're dealing with teenagers, they'll pick on you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then he just probably stayed with him to that point where you're like, okay, well, we won't associate him, but therefore we will bully him because he wants to be by himself, and we are just dumb punks.
Yeah, that's teenagers. I've seen it myself.
Flash Thompson for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, Flash Thompson. The only good Flash Thompson, even though he doesn't ever appear again. But yeah.
Right.
Nah, because like the Sam Raimi Flash Thompson what was his point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just other than to be the bully.
Yeah, and then never be heard from again. And then
except for the sneak cameo in Spider-Man 3 at Harry's funeral. But if you blink, you miss him.
Oh wow, they actually got him back for that. Wow.
Yeah.
And then the new Flash Thompson, which is just pointless, but yeah.
Well, not that I don't like the actor who portrays Flash Thompson, right?
Yeah.
I think he plays he can play Tony Revolio can play a character.
Yeah.
But that's not the Flash Thompson we are used to,
No.
and that is not really the whole gimmick of Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
He's meant to be like, yes, he thinks he's the big man. The biggest bully or what? Not necessarily bully, but he's meant to be like athletic jock or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's pick on the lower tier guys because of that, right?
Yeah.
Not realizing obviously the guy's picking on is Spider-Man. But if you're a nerd picking on another nerd, that's kind of a bit weird.
Yeah. Like his character archetype is one of Flash Thompson's like one you shouldn't really change.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
because you're meant to be thinking you're trying to fight Peter, but Peter can destroy you.
Yeah, but with this one, you're like normal Peter before even Spider-Man can destroy you. So
Exactly.
Yeah, why are you intimidated? Yeah.
Who exactly are you trying to? He comes off as a guy who's trying to be a bully, but then everyone looks at him like you're a punk because no one believes that you can be a bully whatsoever.
Like it's not really he's portrayed as a bully. He's just portrayed like as a snob.
Yeah. No, but if there was a different character, not Flash Thompson, then it could work. Say, for example, they didn't do Ned Leeds as Ned Leeds, right?
Yeah.
And they made him into Ned Leeds. Or Brad Allen, or not Brad Allen, what's the guy that, Brad Davies? Who did Remy He play? The one that was going after MJ in Spider-Man in Far From Home.
I can't
Brad
remember.
Davis. Brad Davis,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they could have named him whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, they could just made a whole new original character. No one would have cared.
Yeah. I did though of all of them, or all three Flash Thompsons, right?
Yeah.
As far as Agent Venom is concerned,
yeah.
Which of the three would you have said if you are making it and you're going to make Agent Venom appear later on, or make Flash Thompson combined with the Venom symbiote?
Yeah.
Which of those three Flash Thompsons? I think it's more like which of the two because we know which one we're not having.
Yeah.
Which of the two Flash Thompsons would you have portrayed going into that storyline?
Second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why would you say that?
I don't know.
Are you talking about actor, character, whatever?
Character.
Just give me something.
Like he kind of how they portrayed him and stuff. Like at the end he goes, "Yeah, Spider-Man's kind of like my dude."
Yeah.
You're like, okay, he's sort of has that quality of redemption to him.
Yeah.
The other one just seemed like a douche. The first one just seemed like a douche and just beat up Peter for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, and this Flash Thompson in Amazing Spider-Man, that they kind of hint to him having like family problems, like in the comics and stuff. So
now, I would actually agree with you because I was like, okay, Joe Manganiello in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man is like, yeah, he kind of looks the part actually of someone who could be an Agent Venom soldier. But then I was like, but yeah, he as character-wise, he doesn't really have anything other than to be intimidating to Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the guy playing the Flash Thompson in the Amazing Spider-Man films, all right, fair enough. They didn't get on, right?
Yeah.
He was trying to bully Peter at the beginning, but then he got humiliated in the basketball thing, which is a whole different thing because you're like, I'm sure, Peter, you got to be aware of your secret identity, right? But I could see how not they become friends from that, right? But
Yeah.
they'd be like, oh yeah, yeah. But it's like, okay, so the scene where after they meet again after that,
Yeah.
where Flash hugs him from behind, I'm like, wait a minute, you guys' friendship level just jumped like 20 points, right?
Yeah.
Somehow
Yeah.
to the point where you're hugging Peter from behind. Now, I'm like, there's got to be something in between that.
They
Then
kind
you
of
get to be good
explain
friends like
it.
that. Or if he fist bumped him or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I could get the friendship. I just don't get how you're hugging the dude from behind, the dude who just humiliated you in basketball, and all of a sudden you're best friends. You know?
Well, he got humbled, didn't it? And he's like, and they do say it before, like him and Flash were friends from they were sort of friends when they were kids, and then he grew apart.
Yeah, no,
So-
yeah, but like you're saying, I can get how that guy
Yeah.
could become Agent Venom or something like that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I was like, okay, so they are friends-ish.
Yeah.
Where is he going to be in Spider-Man 2? Because if you're going to have a, I was thinking at the time, all right,
Yeah.
if you're going to have a whole bunch of villains in Spider-Man 2, this is what I'm seeing, right?
Yeah.
Rhino in it, Electro, Green Goblin, okay?
Yeah.
And then at the end of Spider-Man 2, you've got the Doctor Octopus suit in, the arms in the cage.
Yeah.
And I think one of the trailers actually had Venom symbiote in the cage. Whatever, right?
Did it?
Yeah. I think they changed it to Doctor Octopus arms. And they had the Vulture suit as well. Anyways, I was like, okay, so if this dude was in Spider-Man 3, I mean Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, you could build him getting to being with the Venom symbiote by the time you get to Amazing Spider-Man 3, and you basically throw all the other villains at him. And but at least there's Spider-Man teaming up with someone to fight a whole bunch of people ish. But the dude just disappeared after Amazing Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man, and just never came back.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because I don't remember seeing him in Spider-Man 2. Yeah, makes sense. Huh. But yeah, he would have been the better.
Yeah.
Thing
All right. Okay. So villains. Right. Going
Yep.
to the villains now. Did you, as a Spider-Man's number one villain, Green Goblin, right? Of course,
Yeah.
he's going to be in Spider-Man 1, right? They always usually when they're doing these films, they pick the people's most popular villains.
Yeah.
Because Batman always seems to have the Joker involved somehow, right?
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see why they chose the Green Goblin, but like I think, like me, you discussed before, he's been beaten so many times. I'm like, Norman, you gotta do something to get your heat back, you know?
Yeah, you're not really a threat anymore. You're just an annoyance at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, exactly. But I can get why you're starting with him in the movie.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and I liked William Dafoe's portrayal of Green Goblin. No, I like how he did it, right? Where it wasn't normal going crazy. It was actually his a bit of schizophrenia involved there. Dissociative disorder stuff. It wasn't him, right?
Yeah.
It was Norman, right? And the Goblin was not the Goblin, but it was Norman Osborn good side, Norman Osborn bad side.
Yeah.
That manifested itself into the Green Goblin. The costume wasn't bad, right?
No, it was pretty good. Yeah.
It looks like a decent tech suit, except that I was like, oh, maybe just should have hints of purple, because otherwise it looks like a naked Goblin, right?
Yeah.
Naked Green Goblin, whatever, right?
Yeah.
The elongated head made it look like a xenomorph from Aliens, but
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying they should have a practical mask or something like that, but the look in No Way Home was way better. And he did the goggles and sunglasses on. I know he's had kind of the ruined purple costume.
Yeah.
The whatever on it, right, with the hood.
Yeah.
Which
But-
a bit, I don't.
One little thing I did like about the Green Goblin costume in the original films, like, there's actually hints to purple in the helmet.
Yeah.
Like at certain light angles, there's like hints of purple. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's not it's not blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
So, but it made sense for the film to have a tech suit rather than
Yeah.
some dude in a rubber goblin mask flying around.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd
Yeah.
been weird. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the Doctor Octopus, the glider first. We're going to go with glider. Okay, I tell you what. Sorry, how do you get from? I know in the comics he's Green Goblin. We'll leave that, and then they use the Green Goblin name here, right? But we are going by the kayfabe of the movie, okay?
Yeah.
You look at this dude and you're like, why do we name him the Green Goblin? I know James Jameson named him the Green Goblin, right?
Yeah.
But how did it get to that logic?
Yeah. Goblin, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know how,
a bit weird.
So, I know how Dr. Otto Octavius to Dr. Octopus, right? Fair enough. Yeah. And Jameson, well cast in these movies.
Yeah.
I can see how he would make the over the top logic to say, Otto Octavius, the Dr. Octopus. Yes, we will go that way, right? And I liked how the Dr. Octopus costume is quite simple. It's not even a costume; he's just wearing a trench coat over his the center of his. I mean, he's wearing a trench coat, and then he's got the mechanics over the center of his waist.
Yeah.
Very straightforward stuff. Don't need nothing elaborate. But then the character wouldn't need to have any elaboracy to him because he's not trying to hide himself. He's not having the same mental issues that Norman Osborn, where he's like splintered.
Yeah,
he's just I've been, my mind's not taken over, but the full process is now this direction rather than that direction.
Yeah. It's not the schizophrenia.
And I liked how they tweaked it. Probably a bit similar to how Otto Octavius originally, like he had brain damage. No, I'm saying he had brain damage, right? But the explosion that caused, like in the Spider-Man comics, caused him to then, according to himself, right? You know how Superior Spider-Man rewrote the backstory of Otto Octavius, where even though he was a villain, right? But they're not like outright villainy or whatever. It's just more like, the explosion caused damage to me that then made my mind think in this direction, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And that's what they kind of went for in Spider-Man 2, where it's like the Sentinel arms, right? Somehow turn you evil, but whatever, right?
Yeah.
They took over his mind. Well, the logic that they portrayed to me, where they're like, oh, Dr. Octopus, if the arms are so intelligent, what stops you from taking over you?
Yeah.
And he's like, I see. This inhibitor chip to protect my higher brain function. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then pop.
Yeah.
It took over his brain.
And how obviously about 18 years later, where they tag onto it, and like the power of the sun in the palm of our hand was actually the arc reactor. Yes. Funny enough, this was 2004, and the first Iron Man was 2008. So you're like, right, technology, huh?
Sure, yeah. Sure, I guess. All right.
Yeah, and I'm glad there's there was less he was the main villain in that, as in there's no other villains as well. I know they were continuing Harry on his journey of becoming the Goblin, right? Goblin Jr., whatever, right?
Yeah, New Goblin or whatever.
Yeah. Or the Night Surfer, did they call him one time?
I can't remember. Because I know, so
he definitely was not called the Hobgoblin.
Nah, he was called New
definitely,
Goblin.
And Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man mockingly calls him the Goblin Jr., right?
Yeah.
But officially, he was either New Goblin or the Night Surfer, I believe.
Yeah, because I know in the Spider-Man 3 game, if you bought it for the PS3, like pre-order or whatever it was, you got him as a playable character. And his name actually was New Goblin. Okay, sure.
Yeah. What was he wearing? Oh no, that's Spider-Man 1, right? The Spider-Man 1 game.
No, it's Spider-Man 3 as well.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
PlayStation 3
I thought I was told though, I can't be 100% sure, that for the Spider-Man 1 game, the Spider-Man the movie, the game, I don't know if that's what it was called. Anyways, you complete the game and you get to play an extra chapter as the Green Goblin, and then when you take off the mask at the end, it's Harry.
Nah, you was Green Goblin. You were still Harry.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
I played that. I had the game. Yeah. No.
Right. Okay. What did you think of James Franco as the Green Goblin? Bearing in mind, beginning to the end, you know he has to make the turn.
Yeah. I didn't mind him until he became... Actually, no, I liked him more in number 3. Because in number 1, like in 2, he just became like a... I don't know, just a little...
Yeah.
I don't know, try to put a nice way of putting it. But yeah, he just came like a little emo, just was crying like, oh, my dad.
No, I like number. Okay, I saw he was being Peter Parker's good friend in Spider-Man 1, right? Even though he didn't tell Peter Parker he was going to have Mary Jane. And I'm like, yeah, okay, right, whatever. That's a bit sneaky. Even if you guys are living in the same apartment.
Yeah, how do you get away with that one? Yeah.
yeah. But I could see in Spider-Man 2 where he's like, oh, look, I'm your friend, but you know Spider-Man, but I want to kill Spider-Man. You're not telling me what's going on, right? Which is fine. Which is right. When he finds out, he sells it as well when he pulls the mask off Peter, and he stumbles back. No, it can't. No, I'm not saying ham it up because I'm hamming it up, but it's like a really kind of quiet, broken heart on the inside.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like a proper betrayal. And like you say, in Spider-Man 3, where he upped the ante of being a bit of a ham.
Yeah.
More like Lex Luthor, villainly, actually. Because he's like, Spider-Man, what I'm gonna do, right? Because you killed my dad. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ruin your relationship with your girl, right?
Yeah.
Make her break up with you, and then make it look like she's having an affair with me, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll No, but that's after he gains the memory. Because first it's like, I'm going to become the Night Elf or whatever you want to call him, right?
Yeah.
The new Goblin. I'm going to beat you up, okay? I'll try and fight you.
Yeah.
And then, and then he loses memories, which I thought mighty convenient for the story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, it does kind of show you how fractured their friendship was from there to there, because all Harry remembered was Peter Parker and his friend at that point. But it was unnecessary, right? We could have done it in a different way. Because then when they have their fight in the building, in Harry's...
Yeah.
And Spider-Man basically making a mockery of him, even though he's already enhanced himself. And then he just throws the bomb back in his face.
Yeah.
And turns him into Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I was like, oh, you know what? From that point where he regained his memories, he was like, you know what? I am Lex Luthor trying to ruin Superman's life. I'm like, I don't know about that, but sure. I did like how it was like when he was eating the cake, right? And he basically was saying to Peter Parker, it's like Peter's like, MJ's broken up with me. I think she's having an affair with someone else or whatever. I don't know. And Harry's like to him, Peter, it could be anyone. So you don't know exactly what's going on. It could be anything, anyone that she's having an affair with. Even me. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And then when Peter leaves in disgust or something, whatever, right? Harry just watches them. I think that the lady asking him, "How's the cake?" and he's like, "Oh, so good."
Delicious.
And yeah. Oh, so good. And then when Peter's across the road, and Harry looks, he's like staring daggers at Harry, and Harry's leaning back, looking at him like, yes, dirty smirk, chomping on his cake. Yeah. I ruined his life. I ruined it, but good. Okay. And then, Spider-Man. Peter's wearing the black suit, goes to fight Harry in his own loft, like we were saying. Talks a bit of smack, and then Harry's just getting turned. Yeah. He doesn't put up a particularly good fight without his goblin gear. Yeah.
Like,
because that fight was kind of all right actually, but
yeah.
And I liked it when it went to like a confined area and you had the surfboard, the snowboarding board which flies, spinning around, right? With Harry picked up his laser sword as well, and so like they had no maneuverability anywhere. But but that would have been cool, a nice. Cool close quarters fight with their abilities and this thing just going around crashing into the area. Yeah. But they didn't really do that.
Like the whole funny thing, I know it's kind of to do with characters, kind of not. Like their beef could have been solved years ago if the butler wasn't a dick.
Well, yeah. Well, no. Hold on. Let me put it right. If the butler does actually exist, because he was meant to be a hallucination to Harry.
What?
Yeah. Like one of the versions, I think, I think before they confirmed that he was actually existing as a character, the Butler existed in Spider-Man 1, and then when you see him the rest of the time, he was actually a hallucination, like in Spider-Man 2 and 3. That's why he never interacts with anyone else. Ish. I think they readjusted that idea partway through, but they were going,
Good, because if it was a hallucination, that'd be so stupid.
Yeah, and then he used like the good side of Harry, saying, "Look, yeah."
But then that wouldn't make no sense.
What do you mean? Like it's the good side? No, but it's like the good side of Harry telling him to go and help his friend in that final fight.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
it still wouldn't make no because the Butler saying, "Oh yeah, it was his self-inflicted wounds. I know because I had to clean the wounds, that stuff." But then I kind of like, oh.
Yeah. No, you're completely right.
You know what I
You're
mean?
completely right. Yeah. Yes, because yes.
Because if it was a hallucination, it'll make no sense. Oh, go and help your friend, even though you still think your friend killed your dad.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
But that does explain why he didn't tell Harry that they were her self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, like
because he doesn't exist. Right. I'm trying to help the story here.
I buy the more like he just didn't tell him rather than
Yeah.
Oh, terrible. Yeah.
Well, no, but let's just say, even if you are the Butler, right, and you do exist,
Yeah.
right, and you're saying to Harry, these are Goblin glider wounds, right?
Yeah.
No, hold on. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he was the Green Goblin, as far as the Butler knows, right? It just means that he got stabbed by the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't mean that Spider-Man killed him. But then, how did the Butler know that they were wounds of the glider if he'd never seen the glider before he had to? Because
I don't know.
you say that they were wounds he brought upon himself.
Unless Butler's always knew that Norman was the Green Goblin.
Yeah, that's the only logic, right?
Yeah, and I could buy that without being told. If you know what I mean, I could buy that without being told because he's the Butler. Butlers know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But But like you say, it doesn't explain.
Why it took him 3 years to tell him.
Yeah. Unless you're gonna say, of course, he did try to tell. He was like, well, Harry's got his feud against Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
So even if I tell him, he's just gonna be in denial.
Yeah,
he's gonna say that it's Spider-Man's fault.
Yeah.
But you're gonna tell me you're not even gonna try, and say, oh, well, look, unless you want to say, oh, you want to tarnish the memory of Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin, right?
Yeah.
But then you got to be like, so why is Spider-Man bringing back naked?
Yeah. Which leads to more questions.
Yeah.
Why does he?
Well, no. If you want to apply that logic, right? I'd be like, I will kill Spider-Man because I don't know why is he bringing my dad back naked?
Yeah.
Covered in the top, right? And he's got injuries in his groin area.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh. But then Spider-Man can say, yeah, I found your dad doing some unsavory stuff, so I brought him back to you.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's more script at that point, so I didn't want to expose his identity. But you're going to tell him, you're not going to swing back to Harry's at some point and say, yeah, this was not me that caused it because I don't have blades attached to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't know what, according to the papers, I'm a deviant, right? But
yeah.
what kind of deviant would do these, like whatever you think that I'm doing to your dad right here?
Well, in Harry's defense, he doesn't actually know what Spider-Man's powers are. So Spider-Man might have like spider fangs or something, and then down there or whatever, which would be weird. I mean, but
I know we're making fun of it, and we're trying to create. It's just like sometimes you're like, didn't they think of these things while they were doing it? And I know you had to take the Goblin costume off because they didn't want like expose that Norman Osborn was the Green Goblin, right?
Yeah.
To Harry. But no, to the public, right? But you can't leave him the Green Goblin costume on when you bring him back to Harry's because but he said don't tell Harry. But I'd be like, yeah, but if I don't tell Harry, there's a lot of There are a lot of oddities that are, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah. It's weird. Harry
Yeah.
Osborn. And this is where we cut the episode because we ran very long, so we split into two. So the next part would be us carrying on talking about the Spider-Man films, which mainly the next part would be the Andrew Garfield saga of 2 films and a bit more of Spider-Man 3. But anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Come back to the next episode. Remember, if you like this podcast, give us a like. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter with all the lovely jubbly descriptions with the find us in the bottom, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. And thanks for listening to us talk about Spider-Man. And also, don't forget to follow my friend if you're into Star Trek, Forward Quadrants podcast, where they watch Star Trek in chronological order and talk about it with some fun facts. Yeah, and that's also in the description down below, I believe. But until next time, guys, I have been the Andrew Garfield apologist, even though he doesn't need it because he's great, Kyle Charles, and thank you for taking a trip with us around Multiverse. Bye.
Cheers to the new staff photographer.
I just got lucky.
This is so wonderful for you.
Well, you might want to tell JJ to make a little more wall space. Oh, good morning. It's a beautiful day, huh? What was it you said? I'll never get that picture? There's your hero.
Huh. I never thought he'd really do that.
See? Right there. You made a judgment call. You gotta see it as it is.
It's funny you should say that, because I was looking through some old photos and it looks very, similar.
Okay. Well, I gotta get back to work.
You're trash, Brock.
Excuse me?
Your picture's a fake.
Oh, Parker, you are such a Boy Scout. When are you gonna give a guy a break?
You want forgiveness? Get religion.
What's going on here?
Are you guys all right?
Yeah, no, we're just horsing around. Look, I'm begging you. If you do this, I will lose everything. There's not a paper in town that will hire me.
You should have thought of that earlier.
What are you doing, Peter?
Show this to your editor. Tell him to check his source next time.
It's a fake. Empire State Photographic Department confirms it.
Pack your things. Get out of my building.
I was just...
You're fired!
You know we're gonna have to print a retraction now.
I haven't printed a retraction in 20 years!